SpaceX CEO Elon Musk is popular for having brought Tesla into the massive Chinese EV market and keeping Tesla as the only Western company to retain its relative independence from the Chinese government. But unfortunately, recently, his Starlink satellites have been reported to have had close encounters with China's space station, almost endangering the lives of its astronauts, according to Chinese authorities. Could this mean that the relationships between Elon Musk and China are going south? Keep watching this video to find out more. In a complaint filed with the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs, Beijing is accusing the United States of ignoring international treaty obligations and conducting risky and unsafe activities in outer space. This comes after two satellites launched by Elon Musk's SpaceX company narrowly missed colliding with the Chinese space station on the 1st of July and the 21st of October. Beijing specifically pointed to Article 5 of the United Nations Outer Space Treaty, which states that spacefaring nations should notify each other of any phenomena they discover in outer space that could pose a serious threat to the safety or even lives of astronauts aboard the Chinese space station. According to the report, Beijing noted that Tiangong, the country's new space station, was forced to change its course to avoid hitting the Starlink satellites, which had invaded its orbit. For safety purposes, the China space station took a preventive collision avoidance action, Beijing noted. The authorities requested the Secretary General of the United Nations to ensure that state parties be accountable for any activities in space. After the complaint was made public, the episode did not immediately gain momentum on the Chinese social media platforms until towards the end of the year, when Chinese citizens lashed out against Mr. Musk's space ambitions. Social media users erupted in comments on the Chinese Twitter-like platform Weibo. One user wondered why Chinese citizens were purchasing electric cars from Elon Musk's company, contributing billions of dollars so Mr. Musk can launch Starlink satellites that nearly crash into China's space stations. Another furious user suggested to prepare to boycott Tesla, while several others added that SpaceX's satellites were just a pile of junk and that the Chinese government should just issue sanctions against the United States for provoking the trouble. Another Weibo user described the SpaceX's Starlink constellation as a rogue project, a kind of monopoly in the space race. Asked about the incident on Tuesday, Zhao Lijian, a foreign ministry spokesperson, called on the United States to act responsibly so as to prevent such incidents from happening in the future. This is a typical double standard for the United States to proclaim the concept of responsible conduct in space while overlooking its obligations under international treaties on outer space and risking the lives and safety of astronauts, he noted. California-based SpaceX did not immediately respond to a request for comments about the document that Beijing had filed with the UN Office for Outer Space Affairs, nor to the questions about whether the American aerospace manufacturer was able to communicate with relevant Chinese authorities during the incidents. Neither the U.S. military Vandenberg Space Force Base, a body that's supposed to track the space traffic and track potential space collisions, respond to requests for comments about the same complaint. Recently, Mr. Musk himself did address the allegations that his satellites are squeezing out his competitors in the space industry. He was responding to a claim made by European Space Agency Chief Joseph Aschbacher that his company was being allowed to draft guidelines and rules for the space sector. In a recent interview with Financial Times, Aschbacher had noted that SpaceX's satellites would probably interfere with the radio frequencies and orbital slots available for other satellites. Mr. Musk dismissed those allegations by comparing the Starlink satellites to Tesla cars, trucks, and solar products. He added that there was enough space for billions of satellites in the Earth's lower orbit. As per Mr. Musk, each orbital shell is bigger than the Earth's surface, and placing a shell every 32 feet or so still leaves enough space for billions of satellites around the Earth. For those not in the know, Starlink is a satellite internet network powered by Elon Musk's SpaceX. Currently, people across the United States are already connected to the new Starlink network, which is rapidly expanding into other regions outside the United States. So far, the company has launched over 1,600 satellites into space and is exploring plans to launch another 30,000 units, according to the U.S. Federal Communications Commission. For this reason, Mr. Musk's SpaceX company is viewed as the best carrier for space missions thanks to its dominance in the sector. Over the recent years, space debris and increasing government activity in space have become a threat to satellites and astronauts, and considering the speed at which satellites are being launched, concerns about potential collisions will likely keep rising, making space exploration much more dangerous. In November, NASA, the U.S. space agency, abruptly called off its spacewalk from the International Space Station over the concerns that there is too much trash in the orbit around Earth. It is worth noting that both China and Russia have at one point conducted military operations or anti-satellite tests that essentially blew up satellites in the orbit and created massive plumes of debris in space. Major Tim Peake, a British astronaut, wrote to the UK government and accused Russia of conducting activities that reportedly constituted a danger to the lives of people working in the space. According to Jonathan McDowell of the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics, evasive maneuvers to avoid the risk of collisions in space are becoming much more common, especially as the number of activities carried out by both non-governmental and governmental bodies continues to increase in space. In his opinion, it is highly unusual for a country to channel its complaints through an informational bulletin. He added that China is actually one of the biggest contributors to space junk. It is also safe to say that the United States Space Station has, over the past decade, had to dodge debris from the Chinese anti-satellite test of 2007. It's not like the Chinese had a clean record here, McDowell remarked. According to Starlink website, satellites are equipped with an autonomous collision avoidance tech that allows them to automatically duck out of the way if they sense an approaching piece of space junk or spacefaring objects. However, the tech seems to have some limitations as the chances of a collision increase with speed. As per Mr. McDowell, enough time for planning is needed for collision avoidance. This is something that SpaceX's satellites can autonomously perform. With regards to Mr. Musk's reputation in China, he has spent years winning over citizens and authorities alike, thanks to his electric car company Tesla, which made inroads where other automakers could not. As of 2019, Tesla was the only foreign automaker without a local partner to win a huge tax break for its EVs, and Mr. Musk famously danced on stage during the debut of the made-in-China Tesla Model 3 in 2020. But Tesla's reputation in the country has been tarnished over the past year by a rash of crashes and scandals, including bad publicity and the recall of some of the made-in-Shanghai Tesla cars. The electric vehicle company also faced protests by Tesla owners at the 2021 Shanghai Auto Show over some concerns of faulty brakes and poor vehicle quality. Elon Musk, who has for a long time expressed his affinity for the Chinese culture, has in the meantime been on a month-long charm offensive. In July, he applauded China's government on the 100th anniversary of the ruling of the Chinese Communist Party. He went ahead and tweeted, saying that the economic prosperity that the country has achieved is great, especially in terms of infrastructure. This came a few months after he appeared for an interview with a Chinese state broadcaster, showering Beijing with compliments and predicting that China would one day become Tesla's most important markets for its EVs and products. Mr. Musk's claims have sometimes created a buzz in the country. Last month, he cryptically posted an ancient Chinese poem which refers to a spat between brothers. The poem swiftly became a trending topic on the Chinese social media. In other words, it is safe to say that the social media backlash that Starlink Internet Services project is facing is an about-face from an otherwise warm relationship CEO Elon Musk has been accorded by the Chinese citizens in the past. Would this mean he is no longer welcome in China, or does it mean he might be forgiven one more time? Only time will tell, but you have a chance to share your opinions in the comment section, and thanks for watching.